Welcome back. This is Susheta Sengupta Roy from Swami Vivekananda Institute of Modern Science, Department of Media Science. And today we'll be discussing about the Copyright Act of 1957. As you know, this is part of the syllabus of media laws, which is in B.Sc Media as well as M.Sc Media. Now, today we'll be talking about copyright. Now, at the very initials, whoever write books or journals, there is a problem of copying. When we were kids, the teacher used to be so angry if one student used to copy from others. So every person has his or her own way of writing, way of thinking. One should not be copying others with like others' views cannot be copied. So that has given birth to the Copyright Act of 1957. So what exactly is copyright? What is the copyright? So it is an exclusive right of the copyright holder. So whoever has the copyright holds the copyright is the holder of the copyright. So it's right to copy or reproduce the work of which the author has got the copyright. So it's a right to do or authorize others to do certain acts. It's a product of human skill and his mental capacity to do something creative. So it cannot be copied or should not be copied. Now there has to be laws related to it. Now before getting into it, subject matter of copyright. So which are the subjects which goes under the law of the Copyright Act of 1957? So one is cinematography, two any artistic work like can be painting, it can be scriptures, it can be portraiture or something like that. So three is dramatic works, four is musical works, somebody's songs, somebody's like the musical verse, five is literary, six is sound recording, seven is computer programs. This is the most modern version because the computer programs is like if somebody has made a software, once one person software cannot be copied by other, although softwares are normally tailor-made, and so it is absolutely your own brainchild. You will never like your brainchild to be copied by somebody else. Now, what does it mean, or where did it all come from? Now, Copyright Act has come in from the British period of India. It is was during the East India Company. The first Copyright Act was introduced in the year 1847. Again, in the year in 1911, a Copyright Act was passed in England, based on which Indian Copyright Act 1914 was passed. So, as I told you before, also the maximum or number of acts and even our penal code or you talk about our constitution somewhere has been copied from the British rules or the British codes. So now the copyright came in force after independence. So soon after independence, Indian government passed the Copyright Act in the year 1957. So that's basically 10 years after independence. Because before that, the British Copyright Act was basically in force. So now, subsequently, this act was amended many times due to the influence of many international treaties for which India was a signatory. Now, the treaties which has influenced the change in this act is the Berne Convention in 1886, the Universal Copyrights Convention on 1940, and the WIPO Copyright Treaty. So these are like some other treaties are also are responsible for the change or the amendment of the Copyright Act. Now, where did this Copyright Act originate from? Now, originally, the Copyright Act has its origin in the 20th century. So, the Copyright Act is in the form of intellectual property. So, now we know about the intellectual property, which comes from our intellect, our brain. So, which deals with protecting the rights of a copyright holder. So, just like other intellectual properties, even copyright can be sold, mortgaged, or leased. So, because it is like any other intellectual property. So, what is the nature of copyright? It creates right and rem. It forms of incorporeal property. Infringement of copyright is actionable wrong. And fourth one is copyright is both a positive and a negative right. Now, why do you think copyright is a negative right? Now, something which is modified sometimes you said it's always said like competition is healthy. Sometimes somebody competes your intellect and gives you a better material. So why not give it an option? Why not, somewhere nurture the culture and heritage of our country by giving options to others to work maybe on based on your work? That's basically copyleft. But then copyright has obviously its positives as well as its negatives. So what is the objective of the Copyright Act? Its main objective is to encourage the authors, music composers, singers to create their original piece of work by granting them exclusive rights. If they know like my work will be in my name, so maybe they'll work more on it. So that's the main objective of it, to stop the misuse of copyrights. That's another objective. Third, it it helps in protecting the rights of the person who holds the copyright. Fourth, the copyright holder it gives birth to civil remedies and the criminal remedies in case of infringement. And fifth, further it provides methods of acquiring the copyright. The copyright protection is given for the longer period of time. So that's the objective of a copyright. So who is an author? What do you mean by an author? So literary and dramatic work, author of the work. So whoever has done the literary work or the dramatic work is the author. If it is artistic work, the artist is the author. If it's a musical work, the composer is the author. If it is a photography, then the photographer is the author. If it is cinematography, the producer is the author. If it's a computer program, then the programmer is the author. So what is the advantage of a copyright registration? When so how if any work of art cannot be termed under the Copyright Act. It will be under the Copyright Act only when the work of art is being registered under the Copyright Act. So what is the advantage of registering? So that certificate copy of the registration, which is an act and evidence of the authorship. So that is a major advantage. So before, if you don't register, your work is not registered in your name, that can be copied by anybody and everybody. So it helps the author to take immediate legal action against the infringement. If there's no registration, no legal intimidation. So third one, the registration certificate is useful to the author and his successors established their title in the case of dispute. And fourth, it helps to prove the copyright in foreign countries. Like it's possible, like some work of art is being copied by some other country. You need to prove it. So without the registration, it will be eventually it will be very tough to prove it. Now the copyright registration, it's like another advantage. It's like it is helpful for the government in levying and collecting royalty and fee the same to the copyright holder. Prior registration helps in determining of licensing. It helps to prove the copyright in a foreign country, obviously, as we discussed before. So the artistic work means, when we talk about, we spoke about the author. Now when we talk about the artistic work, now what are the artistic work? What includes? So the artistic work includes any painting, any sculpture, any drawing, which even includes maps, charts, plans, any engraving, like the stone engraving or anything else, a work or an architecture, or any other work of craftsmanship, any work which has artistic quality. So you have to call it artistic. So if it has the quality, it can be it can have a copyright registration. So when we talk about the cinematography, now what exactly cinematography means? So when like the people of media, we are really acquainted with the word of cinematography. So any work of visual recording on the medium produced through a process from which a moving image may be produced. That's cinematography. It includes sound recording accompanied with a visual image. It shall also be construed as including any work produced by any process analogous to cinematography, including even video films. So now the next word is literal work. So what is a literary work? The literary work means and includes any writing, computer programs, tables and compilations, including computer database. Now what do we mean by the musical work? So musical work means and includes any work consisting of music and includes any graphical notation, but does not include any word or any action intended to be sung, spoken or performed with music. So the music can be copyright by the words. So sound recording means any sound, any recording of sound from which such sound may be produced regardless of the medium on which such recording is the method by which the sound is produced. So that's the sound copyright. Now, we'll come to copyright office. What's a copyright office? Where will you go for your copyright? Now, it is established under the control of the Registrar of Copyright, who shall act under the direction of the central government. There shall be seal of copyright. The main work of the office is to control, administer, and apply the provisions of the Act. Central government appoints the registrar and the deputy registrar from time to time. So that's the office of the copyright. What does the copyright board means and includes? So the board consists of a chairman and not more than 14 other members, the total 15. The chairman is appointed for a period of 5 years and is eligible for reappointment and the work under the superintendence of the central government. So the person, in order to become the chairman or the copyright board, should be a judge of a high court or should have been qualified be a judge in a high court. So registrar of a copyright or a secretary of the copyright board. So we can understand that this is also part of the judiciary. So if somebody thinks that a copyright can be done, it's very easy. No, it is not. A copyright chairman, a copyright board chairman has to be qualified as a high court lawyer, as a high court judge. Sorry, it's a high court judge. So if it is a high court judge, qualified and experienced enough, so they know that job very well. So now the powers and procedures of the copyright board. So powers to regulate its own affairs, including the fixing of places and times of sitting. The chairman has a right to constitute benches and special benches in order to dispose the case before it. So normal bench consists of not less than 3 members and special bench consists of not less than 5 members. So while deciding the case, if there is any difference of opinion between the members, then the major opinion will prevail. So suppose if there are 5 members, so 3 members, whatever 3 of the members say, that will be the decision taken. It is like whoever the majority wins. So if there is no majority, then the decision on that it will be the chairman's decision. So chairman has the power to authorize any of the board members to exercise his power. So chairman has an extra power. Now, if the member of the copyright board has any personal interest on any matter before the board, then the member is not permitted to attend the proceeding of such matter. I think this is a common rule to any other proceedings or any other legal proceedings. So that the board is deemed to be a civil court for any proceeding thereof. So we can understand that Copyright Act is absolutely under the civil procedure, not under the criminal procedure. So it means it possesses all the rights of the civil court while deciding any of the matters before it. So what is the function of the copyright board? It inquires regarding the date of publication of the work, to inquire regarding the terms of copyright and shorter in any other country, to solve the dispute regarding the assignment of copyright, to provide the licenses to the public in the Indian work which were withheld from publishing. We can understand. We all know that Shantiniketan took a copyright on Ravindra Sangeet, and for years together, Ravindra Sangeet could not be performed by any other person. But once the Copyright Act completed, the term completed, now every band, even they started singing, they started putting in the words of Ravindra Sangeet and putting in a lot of music to it. So that's when the copyright term completes. So the function of Copyright Board continues to provide licenses or for unpublished Indian works, to provide the compulsory license to produce and publish the translations, to address the grievances of the aggrieved party, and to rectify the errors made in registers maintained by the Copyright Office or Copyright Board. So that's what the functions are. Now, terms of copyright. Now, when we talk about the terms of copyright, in case of the artistic, dramatic, and the literal work and musical work, the term of copyright is lifetime plus 60 years from the date of death. So, in case of artistic, dramatic, and literal work, the music work, the term of copyright is lifetime plus 60 years from the date of death. So, in case of work of public undertaking and the work of international organization, the term of copyright is 60 years from the date of publication. Now, what are the rights of a copyright holder? The rights of a copyright holder is the right to reproduce, right to communicate to public, right to issue new copies of the work, right to have copyrights for fixed terms, right to assign, right to seek legal remedy in case of infringement, or right to sue, they can file a case against whoever breaks this copyright act, and right to grant license. So, registration of copyright is like, how do you register? Registering copyright is not compulsory because the copyright in a material work automatically comes into existence immediately after the original work is produced. So, once the original work is produced in front of the registrar, your work is absolutely registered. The content of the registration of copyright, what should be there in your copyright? Register of copyrights. It is the books maintained by the Copyright Office, which maintains the records of the description of work, name of the author, publisher or owner of the copyrights, the address of the author, publishers, owners of the copyrights, other prescribed particulars. So, these are what the contents are. So, the procedure registration of copyright. So, the person interested in copyright makes an application in a prescribed form to the registrar, as we spoke before about the copyright board. So, on receiving the application, the registrar conducts the inquiry, and on a satisfaction enters the description of the work in the register of copyrights. So, the registrar, subject to the conditions, can amend and alter the registrar of copyright in matters relating to the errors in the names and particulars, any other omission to be entered. Now, procedure for registration of copyright. What is the process? On application for rectification, the Copyright Board has power to rectify the register of copyrights with regards certain omissions, striking out the wrong entries, in correcting the errors and defects. So, any person can take the copies to the registrar and the index maintained by the Copyright Office by paying the prescribed fees. So, the registrar maintained by the Copyright Office is admissible as an evidence in all courts, as it acts as a prima facie evidence for the particular entered in it. So, what are the remedies for infringement? So, it's civil remedy and the criminal remedy. So, civil remedy is injunction and damages and recover the possession of the infringed copies. If somebody picks up your copy and runs away, you can get it back. That's a criminal remedy, that's a punishment, so imprisonment for not less than 6 months, or it can extend to 3 years. It's like from 6 months to 3 years, or fine not less than 50,000, or it may go up to the amount of 2 lakhs. So, it's like an administrative remedy. So, that's how we come to the end of the Copyright Act. So, I'll be again back with another tutorial of media laws. Thank you for now.